1989, the month of May to be exact, I first entered the travel industry. Who has been in travel longer than 1989? Okay. The company was called Travelmation. It was in the state of Connecticut in the United States. It was venture funded, had two divisions, a traditional travel agency and a technology division. My job? I ran the traditional travel agency. I had no idea what a PAX, PNR, CRS, GDS, TIX was. Everybody told me, Philip, you're really nice, you have a lot of energy, you seem pretty smart, but you'll never make it in the travel industry. 18 months later, I was promoted to CEO, and I could run the agency division and the technology division. I quickly sold the travel agency division and invested everything into technology. And then one night in 1991, we stayed late. Think about 1991. What were you doing in 1991? We stayed late, we popped champagne to celebrate something. Travelmation's first online booking, a domestic airline ticket, 1991. We prayed a lot because we had an IBM AS400 mainframe computer, a database from Air Inc. and schedules and fares and pricing. We picked up the telephone and dialed and put the telephone after we heard the ching, 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 into the double round black rubber coupler, and it was lightning fast at 9,600 baud. But it was a seminal moment. It was an amazing moment. And I saw in 1991 what was going to happen. And we went on to sell the business, and I had two little children at home, and I decided to launch PhoCusWright in 1994. Pre-web. There was no www prefix yet. The only internet protocols back then were Veronica, Gopher, Wace, and the one that still lives, FTP. People say, I'm an entrepreneur, but I can't really take risks. I risked everything. There was no web yet. I had two little kids. We took all the money. In American English, we say, I bet the farm on a $0 billion industry. That's how big online travel was, $0 billion. And they say the rest was history, but this is what I noticed. Travel, tourism, and hospitality was about 10% of global GDP. One of the biggest employers in the world. But I also saw that emerging technologies were going to change the way travel, tourism, and hospitality was structured. That's one thing I saw. I saw the potential of technology, but you know what else I saw? I saw thousands of travel industry professionals with suits and ties and dresses, resisting the impact of technology, telling me I didn't know what I was talking about, that I was crazy. I would give a speech like this, and somebody from Air France would jump up out of the audience and stop me and saying that I'm crazy. I actually had metaphoric Rotten Tomatoes thrown at me, right? But I sincerely believed, for some reasons, which I'm going to share with you, that the masses were wrong, and that tens of thousands of travel and tourism and hospitality professionals were in for a seismic shock of their careers. And the reason they were scared, the reason so many people hated me, resisted what I said, argued that online travel would never happen, the reason they did that is why. It's because if I were right, if I were correct, then a lot of people were in a lot of trouble. And guess what? I was right. But it was very, very early. So Giancarlo asked me if I would take this stage and share with you what I learned being so early. Can you believe that? 28 years in online travel? It doesn't seem possible, does it? And the hope for the next 10 minutes is if I can share some of these pearls of wisdom with you, you can take them and launch for the next phase. One of my first engagements to teach you a story was with Liberty Travel. Founded in 1951 by Fred and Gerald. They were New York University graduates, and they pretty much invented package travel for Americans, sending mostly New Yorkers and people from New Jersey to the Catskills or to Miami. They also started Go-Go Tours worldwide. You know Go-Go Tours? They became a client of PhoCusWright in the mid-1990s. By that point, they had over 200 retail travel agency locations. They had thousands of employees. They had over 1 million customers. And their gross bookings were well over 1.5 billion US dollars. In the mid-1990s, Liberty Travel and Go-Go Worldwide was truly one of the largest travel agencies and travel businesses in the United States of America. So I go into a meeting. Everybody is sitting around an oval table with beautiful suits and ties, and they invited me in to explain to them what is the internet. And I did. And you have to understand, these people were very wealthy, beautiful suits and ties and expensive homes and second homes and third homes and cars and boats and country clubs. And I told them that these two companies, Expedia and Travelocity, which just launched in 1995, were Liberty Travel's competitors. And what do you think happened? The CEO jumped out of his seat. I could see the veins in his neck pulsing like this. And believe it or not, he threw me out of the room and said, never come back. Right? What happened to Liberty Travel? It shrunk and shrunk and shrunk until Flight Center bought it. So, 7 things I would like to share with you that I've learned on this journey, but the whole design is for you to take them forward. And that Liberty Travel was lesson number 1. That the number one obstacle, the number one reason companies don't do what they know they need to do has nothing to do with all the excuses. I can't afford technology, it's too expensive and all that. The number one reason is the mirror. Look in the mirror and you'll see why you don't do things. Because you don't have the courage to do it, right? Yesterday, in a panel where all the hoteliers were talking about we don't want to use OTAs, we want more direct bookings. And then I asked them to please clap if you're using artificial intelligence, you have a good app, you use voice. I went through the whole list, not one. So how could they get more direct bookings if they don't do what they're supposed to do to engage directly with customers, right? So you have to do what you have to do. That was number 1. Number 2, the past is an increasingly poor predictor of the future. I used to do it this way. This is how it worked. This is what my customers did. This is how the phone worked. The walked-in traffic, this is what they like to buy. Oh, Chinese like to travel in groups. Guess what? Millennial Chinese don't like to travel in groups. The powerful waves of disruption of psychographics, demographics, consumer behavior, technological advances mean the past is a very poor predictor of the future. Number 3, I call it the perils of consensus. When I launched PhoCusWright in 1994, 99% of the people I talked to said, Philip, that's a very crazy bad idea. So if you use a consensus, if you use a show of hands, if you take a poll, if you take a survey to tell you what to do, You might make a decision that is statistically popular, but from a business perspective, unlikely a failure. What you should do instead is find 3 people you trust and know and value, and get their 3 opinions instead of 1,000 opinions of people you don't know. That's the perils of consensus. Number 4, cannibalization is a good thing. If you can think of a product or a business and you launch it, you sell it, and it actually hurts your business, it's a good thing. Because if you think you are so smart that you are the only one who can think of that product or service that will compete with yourself, you're nuts. So it's better to cannibalize your own business, launch new things that take revenue away from you, because at the same time you add that revenue. Or as they say, it's much better to eat your young than for somebody else to eat your young. Where am I? Am I up to 5? I need some help here. 5. Fear stands for F-E-A-R, false expectations appearing real. A lot of people say it's too risky to do those things. I have a good business, I have limited cash flow, I have to take care of my customers, I don't understand technology. If I launch a mobile app, or if I do automated check-in, or if I have a 24/7 automated concierge service, I'm scared of doing that. Well, let me tell you something that I've learned, and I hope you take it with you. The risk of doing new things, the risk of innovating, the risk of changing, as scary as it may be to you, that risk pales in comparison to sticking with the status quo. That's the difference between an entrepreneur. Doing nothing to people like me is so scary I can't sleep at night, right? That's why I love Maggie Thatcher's line when she said, if it's not broken, break it so you can fix it. So much better to try to innovate, you'll learn, but just remember, if you think the status quo is safe and comfortable, it's very, very risky, and going back to the change, it becomes increasingly risky. Number 6, in the digital economy, there's something called product innovation. Product has nothing to do with inventory, right? Inventory is the supplier's product. But if you're an intermediary, any kind of service or retailer or wholesaler, digital product are the things that your customers use and interact with. Your website, your mobile app, how you talk on the phone, how you say good morning, that's your product. That's why on Netflix, it's better to watch a movie than to watch the same movie on someone else's service. The movie is the producer's product, unless it's a Netflix movie. But how you watch it, how you navigate, how it remembers where you were from 3 months ago, helps you advance to the next picture, that's product. And in travel, companies with heads of product, as one of the most senior persons on the team, are the winners. So if you're looking at me and say, I don't know what a head of product is, I don't have a product, I can't afford a head of product, what are you talking about, head of product? That's what I'm talking about. Reorganize yourselves so that one person owns product, owns the customer experience, and it should be one of the most senior people in the organization, even if that means your organization gets turned inside out. Product is really a characteristic, a pedigree of a winning company. And number 7, my favorite, is that in business, strategically correct always wins over politically correct. Thank you all very much. Thank you.